Hello and welcome to Let's Be Frank.
Good morning.
Good morning. Today yesterday we had a little chat about how do you start a movement or how do you engage people to reach the masses and things like that. So I was thinking that we could chat a little bit about revolutions and starting a movement, and we watched that little video by Derek, what's his name? Sivers. And then I had the Tracy Chapman song stuck in my head this morning, Revolution, and I've just been thinking about it. There's also a quote that's up in my office that I've always loved, is the Margaret Mead quote, is, I've just gone blank about the actual wording, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. And I think that's something that I just needed to remind myself of, that movements are not started by masses, they're started by one person, two people, the really
one
small
person.
one person.
It's always one person.
So in the marketing space which I'm in, it's often that question of how do we get people, the masses, using whatever we've created, and just reminding myself that it's engaging that one person and then getting that one person to engage one person, and then it'll grow kind of naturally and organically. If you have a good product to begin with, is kind of the...
It doesn't even have to be a good product to begin with. I mean, I think throughout history there are plenty of examples where some terrible ideas or terrible products created massive movements.
Yeah.
And I think we're still struggling to get rid of some of them today.
Yeah. Do you have any examples?
I do.
Any non-political?
Shit, the first one that comes to mind is very political. I mean, the Nazis.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a terrible idea. It started by one person, and look where that ended. I was also recently reminded by about the influence that Kellogg's had in the fact that we think we must eat, I don't know, all sorts of shit for breakfast, which was never really the case. Yeah. And here we are stuck. I mean, the whole low-fat, yada yada, and even well-respected medical organizations still cling to that today, although there's been so much evidence that point to the contrary.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, you don't need a good product to start with. You can start a movement, and that movement can really gain a lot of traction for a long time.
Well, the other one I think about is the 10,000 steps a day, that someone decided that, I think it was a kid that did a school or college project in his small town in the States about what should people be doing to make them overall healthier or whatever. And it was a tiny little project, and he came out with this, that it's 10,000 steps a day will make everyone's heart healthier and whatever. And that has just spread across the world. And everyone now does their 10,000 steps a day without really understanding why we're doing it.
Correct.
There are a lot of things. I mean, it's one person, which is, it's kind of a relief for a marketer to know that you can start as small as that. But it's also finding that right person and making sure that the thing that you're starting a movement for is worthy of being a movement.
Does it have to be? I mean, the example that we looked at yesterday was a guy at a festival.
Yeah.
He was probably drunk as a skunk, and he started a movement.
Yeah, a dancing movement.
Yeah. So
that's harmless, though. The example harmless. You used of the Nazis is not so harmless.
So I'm not debating the morality of it all. I'm just saying that it, you don't necessarily have to believe that much, especially in terms of the function that you're referring to in terms of marketing. Yeah. Yes, we like to think that we'll only put in effort and time and resources in something that we believe in. But it does then become very personal. And I don't think it's always possible to do that. Sometimes you have to kind of put your own preferences and beliefs aside and still get the job done. we'll definitely draw a line in terms
Yeah.
of from a company point of view, our involvement, in terms of anything that we morally, legally, whatever, object to, or
Yeah.
that is just not right.
Yeah.
But how do you start a movement then?
I don't really have the answer right now. I'm planning to try a few things and see where it takes me. But I suppose it's finding the right one person, someone who is able to influence others. Because that's really important. If you get someone who's not very capable of influencing other people, that's not going to start your movement.
Is it necessary to find that quality in a person?
Why do you ask that?
Well, again, I'm just thinking back to the dancing example.
Well, he was able to influence other people. He made it look like so much fun, and someone else wanted to join in. And I have a feeling that in that video, the guy that joined in first was kind of mocking him. But the way that he embraced him, and and then other people thought, oh, this looks like fun, and then joined in.
So it's not like he went there with a plan of, okay,
Yeah.
cool,
I
so
don't think
I'm
he was
going to
trying
start
to.
doing to, and then I will get other people, like you say.
Yeah.
He just went and had fun himself.
Yeah.
And what's quite interesting for me is that thing about the human behavior. That when you're the first one to join, you're very conscious of it. Maybe not. In this example, I don't think he was. But you are, very conscious of if you embrace a new way of thinking or whatever, that, am I right or am I wrong, But then as more and more people join, and you see more and more of it around you, or hear more people talk about it, then it kind of becomes, eventually you kind of if I don't join that movement, then I'm on the outside.
And for those people that joined right in the beginning, it's kind of an affirmation that you made the right choice, because other people are making that choice too, so it gives you that confidence to keep going in what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the bell curve in terms of adoption of products, etc., etc. I always talk about the early adopters, which are kind of like the hardest to get to. You really have to focus on the die-hard fans of either a brand or a product or so, to get them to use, and it's typically more expensive and so on. And then it gets adopted by the masses. And then there's kind of the tail at the end of, what there aren't really any other options left.
It's like the people who don't watch Game of Thrones.
Really?
I was one of the ones in the middle of the bell curve. I was not an early adopter. I joined in the middle there. But there's those guys who still don't watch Game of Thrones.
So interestingly enough, I'm sorry. I actually was an early adopter.
Oh, really?
I watched the very first episode when it first came out.
Do you need some water?
But no, it's a fluid that got me into that. Anyway, so I was a very early adopter, but I lost interest.
Okay.
So that finger pointing was not really appropriate in that example.
It caused you to choke on your tea.
No.
Yeah.
But it is very true that there are some things where you will just join a movement without giving a hell of a lot of thought to it.
Yeah.
Because so many other people around you have done it.
Yeah.
So, for example, those people that really focus on doing those 10,000 steps
That finger pointing is appropriate.
Because there is a movement
Yeah.
that although you don't necessarily believe in everything that they say or do, are you checking your steps?
Yeah, I'm only on 830. I've got a long way to go today.
But not just that. I mean, we just and it's so hard to stay away from politics when you talk about things like that.
Yeah.
You know, politics is something that in some other way influences all of us. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. If we just look at our own national elections last week, you know, so many people went out there and voted for a particular party because they don't really know why. But the movement, it's either historical, etc., and so on. And then there are other examples where certain events or so lead people to kind of abandon the movement that they're part of and join a new movement for whatever reason. So I think it's extremely common for us to be in the same way that we are we are part of a number of communities just through I don't know, you know, the things that we do, family, friends, hobbies, etc. In the same way, I think we are part of a number of movements at any given point in time.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can avoid. And it's not something that I say you should avoid.
Yeah.
I think you should be very critical of the movements that you join.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of how I am.
Yeah.
In terms of questioning the status quo or questioning why we do certain things. But I'm really interested in this concept of how to start a movement, what the things are that you have to do. And again, you know, there are some really nice examples, I suppose, if you go, and specifically from a marketing point of view, how do you get people to join a movement? Richard Branson come to mind. You know, he's always been kind of right there and put himself out there as the either through some of the daring things that he did, you know, like flying the hot air balloons and that sort of thing, but then also to some of the silly things that he did, that, you know, like dressing up in a flight stewardess's dress and so on and so forth. And in terms of, I don't know, what other examples can you think of where we've really seen massive adoption, where you can kind of pinpoint and say, well, that was a movement that was created, and how?
Well, I think I'm thinking of something like Uber. So it's getting the right audience. So that's the right one person. It's not always one person. Uber kind of gained their traction. They were around for quite a while, and then they partnered with a conference that was happening for digital, South by Southwest, with people that are interested in digital and new ways of thinking and new ways of doing things, and that was the right audience. So they targeted a very specific right audience that would test this thing and share it through all those digital channels. So they got that traction, and that Uber movement just spread like wildfire.
But as you pointed out, they've been around for some time.
Yeah. Doesn't always happen overnight.
It doesn't always happen, and it's kind of reminds me about the old saying that an overnight success takes about, I don't know, 7 years or something like that for things to happen, for you to really gain that traction. But that's obviously a good example. If people start talking about it and they enjoy the product or the service and so on, I think we always kind of refer back to the best kind of marketing is word of mouth. Yeah. Because you're more likely to try something if somebody that you trust or respect will say, "Hey, I used this product," or and it was a good experience.
Yeah. And
then
then
you're more likely to try it.
is it Sean Ellis or Eric Ries that talks about 1,000 true fans? No, is it neither of them?
It's neither of them.
Who is it?
There's I forget the name of the person, but
Yeah.
there's somebody that wrote an article about 1,000 true fans. That's all you need. You
Yeah.
need to get those raving fans
Yeah.
of anything that you do. And I think Apple is a perfect example of that.
Mm.
There are many people out there that will buy anything
Yeah.
as long as it's got the little Apple logo on it.
Jason and I were talking about it yesterday, that we're Apple fans, even though in the moment we were so frustrated about how they update their jacks and their ports and everything every time, but we'll still buy Apple.
Yeah, so there you are.
Yeah.
You're part of the Apple movement.
Yeah.
You don't know necessarily how you got there, but now you're there.
Yeah, but don't you think a little bit of it is the opportunity cost of changing? So you get used to something and you don't want to have to learn something new, so you stick with what you know. Because for me, I always, when I pick up an Android phone, I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. So just, this one's simple, it's intuitive, I know exactly how it works, and I don't have to learn
Because
anything.
because I've been using it for so long. Yeah, that. But I mean, that point you can take a lot further in terms of, well, that's why people are kind of stuck in the unhappy places that they find themselves in.
In movements that maybe they don't want to be a part of.
Yeah. So I really think about those things about people that complain about their health and complain about their jobs and complain about this or that, but you never ever see
Don't
them do anything. Because of that, what did you call it? Opportunity cost.
Yeah.
I'll have to look it up, but I don't know if it's a synonym for opportunity cost, but lazy.
And comfortable.
Comfortable.
Yeah, it's a comfort thing.
It's a comfort thing. So the comfort zone thing more than the comfort
Because we've
thing.
spoken about people being uncomfortable with change, even though it's a natural thing that you have to go through, but it's that kind of taking a step where you know things are going to change. So it's doing something, executing something, and you know that there's going to be a change associated to it, sometimes makes you hesitant to take that action.
Yeah. I think that's very relevant in terms of what we're talking about, starting a movement from a marketing point of view, getting people to adopt a product or a service.
Something
new.
new.
When there's, that's something new. Something new in the sense that it is replacing the current way of doing things.
Yeah.
And then people have to step out of that comfort zone of theirs.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something we should think about a little bit, is how do you nudge people out of that comfort zone?
Yeah. I think we should make that a podcast for another day.
Let's start a movement.
Thank you guys.